This is Glenn Zorpette, the executive editor of IEEE Spectrum magazine. I recently had the privilege of visiting the South Pole as part of the annual National Science Foundation media expedition to Antarctica. I don't want to gloat, but it was really fun. The NSF is a major sponsor of scientific research in the United States and oversees the U.S. Antarctic program. This is the place where you begin your flight to the South Pole. It's the flight terminal at McMurdo Station, which is the main U.S. base in Antarctica. This is the plane that takes you to the South Pole. It's a Lockheed LC-130 aircraft, which is the ski-equipped version of the C-130 Hercules cargo plane. They've been flying them in Antarctica for the past 51 years. It has a maximum payload of 45,000 pounds. Basically, everything that goes to the South Pole, people, desk chairs, lobster tails, motor vehicles, gets there aboard an LC-130. The flight takes about 3.5 hours, and you have to wear your cold weather boots and pants in case the plane crashes. The air crews are all from the 109th Airlift Wing of the New York Air National Guard. They fly 260 flights during the spring and summer months, and none at all during the winter, when it is perpetually dark and the temperature dips under 100 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Inside the LC-130, it's so loud you need earplugs, there's no movie or meal service, and there's only one toilet. But hey, who's complaining? U.S. taxpayers are covering your airfare, and when you land, you're at the South Pole. Unless you can find me a smaller one, I'm going to declare that this structure is the world's smallest air terminal building. There was a little heater inside and a big tin of cookies and some magazines that were several months old. So you get off the plane and you get your first view of the amazing $174 million Amundsen-Scott South Pole Station. Remember what I said earlier about everything at the South Pole having to get there aboard an LC-130? Well, it took more than 900 LC-130 flights to deliver the 24 million pounds of stuff needed to build that building you see there. It's up on stilts to facilitate snow removal. The station itself has 2 stories and 80,000 square feet of interior space. This is one of the hallways in the new South Pole Station. The station is very comfortable inside, with laboratories, dormitories, a hydroponic facility, a billiard room, and other amenities. The food in the galley is pretty good, too. However, the nearest golf course is approximately 2,500 miles away. Here's what a typical laboratory looks like in the new South Pole Station. Well, it's dark from March to September at the South Pole, and there are no flights into or out of the station at all. So you'd think fresh fruit and veggies are out of the question. You'd be wrong. The station has a hydroponics facility, also called a growth chamber, where they can grow enough fresh veggies throughout the winter so that anybody who wants 2 salads a day can have them. That man in the picture is Lane Patterson, who manages the hydroponics facility. Thanks to the miracle of modern technology, he usually does it remotely from an office at the University of Arizona. Here's the dirty little secret of the South Pole. There's actually a slum behind the glittering new station. It's called summer camp because that's the season when temporary workers use it for sleeping. I got to spend the night there in this homey little Jamesway hut. The wood box to the right in this picture houses an electric furnace that works so well that I didn't even need a blanket that night, even though it was around minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Here's my quarters in that Jamesway hut. It was very comfortable and I slept like a baby. But I was a little freaked out initially by that lurid red stain above my head. So it turns out that the biggest food freezer in the world is at the South Pole. In fact, the biggest food freezer in the world is the South Pole. Food is stored in big cardboard boxes on wooden runners. I came across boxes of carrot cake, lobster tails, curry powder, and chicken. Even in the height of summer, the temperature rarely gets above minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and there are no animals or bacteria to worry about. Here's some of that curry powder. Here's what the well-dressed man wears in the summer at the South Pole. That's Al Baker, who is the science liaison officer at the pole. Notice goggles to prevent snow blindness and a water bottle to prevent dehydration. There's essentially no humidity at the South Pole. The beard is optional, by the way. This is the preferred form of transportation at the South Pole. It's called a Piston Bully 100. It's made in Germany, and it's powered by a 4-cylinder Mercedes-Benz diesel engine. If you floor it, it'll go about 25 miles an hour. So this is me at the South Pole. I mean, really, I'm at the South Pole. The exhilaration of being at the South Pole is intensified if you are aware of what the early polar explorers went through to get to the pole. For example, the second group of men to reach the pole, there were 5 of them, including the leader, Robert Scott, all died attempting to get back to their base on the edge of the continent. They endured excruciating pain brought on by frostbite, snow blindness, slow starvation, and other ailments. This is the marker at the honest-to-goodness South Pole. From here, there's nowhere to go but up. This is the ceremonial South Pole marker. Now, you might ask, why is there both a ceremonial and a geographic South Pole marker? Good question. Like most of Antarctica, the South Pole is on a vast ice sheet, and that ice sheet moves. About 10 meters a year, in fact. It'd be too much work to move the ceremonial South Pole because there's that pole and all those flags, and it's all nice and symmetrical with the front of the South Pole station. So they just move the geographical marker, which is much less elaborate. I came upon these mysterious snow sculptures about 100 meters away from the ceremonial South Pole marker. I have no idea who built them or why, but they appear to have been from Australia. And that narrows it down a little. They do a lot of big science at the pole. One of the biggest projects is a $275 million neutrino detector called IceCube. Workers are using a special drill that makes a hole in ice by shooting very hot water at very high pressure. Then into that hole, they put a string of fancy optical detectors. This string is about 2,400 meters long and has 60 detectors on it. The hot water drill is in the boxy building in the middle of this picture. The drill has to make a hole 2.5 kilometers deep, so that explains the big reel of black hose on the left. So how will this thing work? When a high-energy neutrino hits a water molecule in the ice, one of the atoms can give off a muon that in turn emits a glowing blue trail of Cherenkov radiation as it streaks through the ice. That blue glow is what the optical detectors see. Aren't you glad you asked? This is another big science project at the pole. It's called the South Pole Telescope, and it's one of 2 microwave telescopes at the pole that are studying the cosmic microwave background. This is the faint echo of the Big Bang that created our universe. By studying the polarization of this microwave background, researchers hope to confirm several important theories about our universe. One of them is the idea that the universe went through a period of exponential expansion, or inflation, starting very soon after the Big Bang, when the whole universe was just a few centimeters across. Mind-bending, huh? Let's take one last fond look at the ceremonial South Pole. That's me, by the way, reflected in the disco ball. While we're gazing at this tranquil scene, let's remember the incredible bravery and fortitude of the first polar explorers, including those 5 who died after reaching the pole. It was a lot harder in those days, before there was a nice warm station with a cafeteria, and internet access, and billiard tables, and a gift shop. Credit cards not accepted, by the way. Thanks for hearing about my trip to the South Pole, part 2 of my 2-part audio slideshow on Antarctica. If you liked it, you might want to listen to the first part describing my visit to McMurdo Base. For IEEE Spectrum Online, I'm Glenn Zorpette.